What if I don't know what I'm saying? I'm repeating a sound, a word, I'm making pauses. You kind of have to decide if you're going to accept the fact that you stutter or not. And I was very, very stressed because I thought that I had to be perfect. And that's when I was like, you know what? I need to do something about my speech or else it's going to get worse and worse and worse. My story. So I started to stutter at the age of 9. It was pretty slight. And then when I got to middle school, that's when things got to be a little bit more complicated. And I was getting frustrated because I wanted to share things. I had opinions, I wanted to speak, and the words were not coming out. So my mother and I decided that it was time for me to do some therapy. And I saw about 3 of them until the third one was really the woman who really helped me out a lot. It built in my trust and my confidence to speak out loud. And I remember in ninth grade, I even chose to speak in front of my classmate about my stutter. And my teacher was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And she was like, "Okay." So I took the lead and I spoke to my class about what it is to have a stutter. And my classmates were like, "Oh my God." And my teacher, she really praised me because it takes a lot um, to show to others that you are working on something, right? And that you have flaws. We all have flaws, right? But some of us, our flaws are a little bit more out there. And let me tell you, the teasing stopped. Yeah, they stopped because I had nothing to hide anymore, right? I had really nothing to hide. So then I went to college and my speech was like, okay. I think that I didn't think much of my speech at all. So that's why I rarely stuttered. And I went to college, I went to university as well. And I remember when I was in university, I had to do an oral exam. So I had a microphone and I had judges who were recording and judging my speech. And that's when all my anxiety came back. And I was like, oh my God, they have to record my speech. What if I don't know what I'm saying? I'm repeating a sound, a word, I'm making pauses. Especially in French, when you speak in French, it's a language where things have to pretty much be perfect in some way, I find. So I failed the first test. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot do the second test again. Like, there's no way I can do this again. And I wrote like a letter to the dean and I said, listen, I have a stutter and doing this exam is freaking me out. And they're like, oh, we understand, no problem. And I think like the year afterwards, they stopped this test, right? But the problem was already backed, right? I was thinking about my speech and my stutter, and it was slowly creeping back. So I decided to go back to um, working on my speech, and I decided to work back with my therapist that I had when I was younger. And I had maybe five times I saw her. Yes, I saw her 5 times only. And she was like, Kesson, you know what? You don't really have much of a big problem. It's really like just there's a little bit of a stretch that you need to work on. And then she told me you kind of have to decide if you're going to accept the fact that you stutter or not. And I remember this when she said that, it kind of like left me with, I don't know what the word is in English because I'm thinking in French in my head, but it left me with like kind of a deception, right? Of thinking that I cannot improve more or I have to live with the fact that I have a stutter, right? But anyways, I didn't think much about it. And I moved on like with my life. And when I had like a job interview, I would choose at times to tell the person in front of me, like, you know what, if you see that I'm stopping or I have a blockage, just because I have a stutter. And then at the end, they were like, you know what, didn't notice at all that you had a stutter. Let me fast forward to 2020. 2020 is the year when I moved to New York City. And I found a job in a school in Manhattan, a lycée français, so it's a French school. And in that school, that's when stuttering came back, creeping at its worst for me. Because I was working in an elite school, so I work with families of actors and celebrities. these are people that have a lot of money, right? So sometimes when I had to speak to parents that, you know, I'm a fan of because I watched their movie and I was like, I don't know what to say. I was freaking out and I was very, very stressed because I thought that I had to be perfect. And we all know that we cannot be perfect. There's no way on earth we can be perfect, but I was putting this extra pressure on myself to be perfect. And that's when I was like, you know what, I need to do something about my speech or else it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So I was looking for avenues, platforms, books, etc. And that's when I stumbled on Lee's book. And actually, I read the French version. So I read the book in French because I'm more at ease in French. And as soon as I started reading the book, I was like, that's it. This makes sense to me. I believe in the first part of the book, he speaks about mind training. And I believe that our mind is either a biggest ally or our worst type of enemy, right? And I believe in mind training. I've been doing it a long time for other things in my life, but never for my speech. Probably because I thought that, you know what, there's not much that I can do with my speech, right? But then when I was reading the book, his book of Lee, I realized that, hey, I should be doing the same thing that I've been doing for my goals, for my careers, for my health, with my speech. And then so far I've had, I believe, 6 classes or sessions with Lee Levitt, and they've been going great. And this year also, I couldn't have found Lee at a better time in my life because this year I've received a grant at my school. So it means that I have to do a lot of research and workshops with my staff and my faculty. So I have to talk in front of large groups all the time and have to train them. And really, when I found that book and the strategies, it really, really helped me to speak in front of groups of people with confidence, with ease, despite the fact that I'm still working on my speech. And recently, I had a session with my group and I was asking for some feedback on my workshops. And they were saying, Cassandre, we enjoy listening to you. The way you speak is so soft, it's calming, it's clear. You're talking about like a topic that is complex and very delicate. But despite that, you find a way to convey the message or bring like the message so clearly to us and simple to us. So this was really a feedback that I never thought that I would get because all my life I thought that I would be a poor speaker because of my stammering, right? But nonetheless, it's funny that I've decided to work in a field where I have to use my speech all the time because I'm a teacher and I'm an educator, right? And I noticed that when I'm in front of a classroom, I do not stutter that much at all because I raise my voice, I change my voice, I use a lot of gesture, I'm smiling a lot, I speak with a lot of joy and passion. And these are the things that I was reading in the book of Lee, right? And I was like, wow, I do these things naturally. But now that I've read the book and I've seen the videos, this makes more sense to what I've been doing already naturally. And it also encouraged me to be more conscious of what I'm doing when I'm speaking. So right now, what am I working on? I'm really working on loving to speak in all types of situation. For me, what is more difficult at the time is to speak in front of people that are my boss or my supervisors. This is what I find it like a little bit more trickier for me now. And also when I'm speaking in spontaneous type of conversation, because I'm with my friends, my family, and I feel at ease and comfortable. So your guards are down, right? But I need to train my brain to be like, wait, Cassandre, today, you know what? When you speak with your friends or your family or whoever, you're going to work on one concept. I think when you choose one concept at a time or one question at a time, it's just easier because then if you start to think about, well, for me, when I think about all of them at once, it's kind of overwhelming for me. So if I focus on one crush at a time a day, I find it to be like a little bit better for me. And I find that I can battle whatever I'm working on if I focus on one thing at a time, one day at a time.